If we didn't B-bomb them with the B-2 bombers, now that set them back, but if we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to a month. We want to see no nuclear bomb, no nuclear weapon, not even close to it, low-key in the missiles. We want to see peace in the Middle East. What about this war? There's going to be a control. That will be open very soon. Get this way. And who controls that Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the largest US air base in the Middle East? Full combat readiness is in effect. American soldiers of the 82nd Airborne Division's Rapid Deployment Brigade have been arriving by air and are setting up camp near the base perimeter. They are currently in a holding posture on standby and can be deployed at any moment for an assault on Khark Island, Iran's main oil export terminal in the Persian Gulf. Out in the desert on the makeshift runway strips away from the main base, fuel trucks are positioned along the taxiways. Helicopters land constantly. Troop transports bringing in soldiers and patrol helicopters rotating in and out of their counter-drone missions over the surrounding area. The moment a helicopter touches down, a fuel crew connects the hose and starts pumping. The turnaround is fast. The helicopter refuels, lifts off, and either heads back to the carrier for more troops or returns to its patrol route, scanning for Iranian drones. Meanwhile, back at Fort Bragg, the second wave of equipment is being loaded. C-17 cargo bays are being filled with heavy armor. M1 Abrams tanks driven up the ramps one at a time. Their 70-ton hulls barely fitting inside the cargo holds. Behind them come military tow trucks, fuel tankers, HIMARS rocket launcher vehicles, armored personnel carriers, and other combat vehicles. This equipment is being sent across the ocean to Qatar to reinforce the base, to protect the airfield, the ammunition depots, the command centers, the air defense positions, and to support the Marines and paratroopers already arriving in the region. Every vehicle inside the C-7 is secured with heavy steel chains. Each chain is run from tie-down rings on the cargo floor to the vehicle's frame, pulled tight with turnbuckles, and locked. Multiple chains per vehicle, front, rear, both sides. Nothing can move during the 14-hour transatlantic flight. A tank that shifts even a few inches in turbulence can damage the aircraft or crush the cargo behind it. The loadmasters check every chain by hand before the ramp closes. Once the loading is complete, the C-7 pilots taxi to the runway and take off. The aircraft climb out heavy, engines at full power, and head east. 14 hours later, they land at the airfield in Qatar. The ramps drop and the offloading begins immediately. HIMARS vehicles drive off first. They head straight to firing positions around the base perimeter and along the coastline where they can cover the approaches to the base and, if the order comes, strike targets on Khark Island across the water. The armored vehicles follow and take up defensive positions around the base at the gates, along the fence line, near the command buildings and supply depots. The fuel tankers drive to the desert airstrips where they will rotate on standby, refueling helicopters and transport aircraft as they come and go. The remaining vehicles are distributed to the units camped outside the base. At the camp, the soldiers who arrived on the earlier flights begin by setting up their living area. They unpack and pitch their tents in rows across the sand. Stake them down against the desert wind and roll out sleeping bags inside. Personal gear is stacked at the foot of each sleeping position. Once the camp is standing, the soldiers assemble for a quick briefing. An officer runs through the readiness procedures, what happens when the alert sounds, where each unit moves, which vehicles they mount, the sequence of actions from the alarm to full deployment. After that, the soldiers begin preparing their weapons. They crack open wooden crates of belted ammunition and pull out machine gun belts, inspecting each round in the link for damage or corrosion. The belts are loaded into the feed trays of M240 and M2 heavy machine guns mounted on their armored vehicles. Gunners cycle the actions to confirm smooth feeding, then lock the guns into their turret mounts. Rifle squads check their M4s, load magazines, and stow them in plate carrier pouches. Anti-tank teams unpack Javelin missile launchers and verify the thermal sights. The camp is turning from a staging area into a fighting position. V-22 Ospreys on the base are being prepared for combat missions. Maintenance crews check the tilt-rotor engines, test the hydraulics, and load the aircraft for troop transport. If the order to attack Khark Island comes through, these Ospreys will carry the paratroopers across the Persian Gulf and deliver them directly onto the island. The assault plan is ready. The troops are briefed. The aircraft are fueled. They wait for the command. The airspace above the base and the surrounding desert is under constant patrol. Helicopters and fighter aircraft fly circuits overhead, watching for Iranian reconnaissance drones or armed shards that could be sent to strike the base or the troop concentrations around it. Any drone detected on radar or spotted visually is engaged and destroyed before it gets close. On the main airfield at Udeid, fuel crews work non-stop, keeping the fighter jets topped off. F-15s, F-16s, and F-35s cycle through the refueling pads between combat sorties over the Persian Gulf. A fighter lands, taxis to the fuel point, connects, fills up, disconnects, and taxis back to the runway for the next mission. The cycle runs around the clock. Marine helicopters MH-60S Nighthawks and CH-53E Super Stallions fly a constant shuttle between the aircraft carriers offshore and the base in Qatar. Each flight brings in more Marines with their personal weapons and combat loads. The helicopters land. The Marines file out and head to the camp. And the aircraft refuel and fly back out to sea for the next group. The build-up continues. More troops, more vehicles, more ammunition arriving by the hour.